IVM.
Hi everybody, welcome to the 12th episode of the Sponge Podcast with Ambi Parameswaran. We're going to be talking about the 12th chapter of his book, Sponge, Leadership Lessons I Learned from My Clients. The chapter is Red, White and Brown. Wow, Ambi, you worked on a cigarette campaign too, huh? In 2018, that probably does not seem like something you would have done too much of.
And I used to smoke for 20 years of my life, so it's okay, So,
okay, yeah.
So I used to smoke probably a pack or two every day. So,
oh, wow. So, like, not just like a cigarette here or there. You were
regular. I was a regular smoker for 20
I think
years.
advertising used to be a very smoking heavy.
Well, I mean, they used to say IIT was very smoking heavy.
Everything is smoking heavy,
Those days,
everything is smoking
was smoking heavy. I mean, today when I tell youngsters that, there was a time when the flight takes off and the pilot announces that, the seatbelt signs are off, and you can see everyone lighting up cigarettes inside an aircraft. So you say, are you crazy? People used to smoke inside. Oh, I said, of course, we all used to smoke inside aircraft.
I remember hearing those messages. Smoke him if you got him.
Yeah, and then your armrest used to have a
ashtray.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like you're thinking from a different age, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember. So I stopped having smoking happen in my office in 2001 or something like that, and I was still one of the earlier people in India compared to a lot of other people, right? But still, it was just like it was kind of like, oh wow, you're not smoking in your office anymore. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not smoking in our office anymore. But sorry, to come back to this, we were so this the key story over here, I think, is the red and white cigarette launch.
Yeah, so
but,
this was
but before we go into that, you have a very interesting paragraph up front where you're talking about how the job of an account executive in the 1980s was significantly different than it is today, right? Especially in terms of the fact that you have to be able to work in a whole bunch of different areas. It's much more specialized now in function compared to what it was then. I thought maybe you can kind of give some of the younger listeners way back in the day, this is how it used to be.
Oh yeah, so I mean, in the late 70s, early 80s, the client servicing team in an agency pretty much did a lot more than what they do today. For example, the client servicing guy often also doubled up as the account planner. So you had to do a bit of strategy. Client servicing guy also sometimes had to also do media planning, because he was probably, knew how to handle numbers, etc., etc. So you did media planning. And depending on the agency, in the smaller agencies, an account planning guy would probably have to do negotiation with the filmmakers, with photographers.
Right.
He has to be a prop guy to arrange for props. He probably also understood print technology because sometimes you had to run to the printer to get some things done. So you're really jack of all trades,
right.
So nowadays with agencies, these have all become specialized. So there is an account executive, there is an account planner, there is a media planner, there is a production executive, there is a film executive, there's a model coordinator, there is a language coordinator, there are studio manager. So you have so many people who are doing specific jobs, and the account executive's job is really stay in the middle and pass the ball to the various players in the field. Those days you actually had to run around, get this thing done.
Do you think that there was, I don't want to turn this into our days were better than new days kind of thing, but do you think that developed skills in a more interesting way than they are doing currently done?
I'm biased. I would say yes, but I think today the challenges are a lot different. So today an account executive also needs to know a lot more about technology. He needs to know digital. Those days we used to handwrite charts and present it to clients. Today you got to make nice PowerPoint presentations. You got to be probably able to even do small GIF files and stuff like that. So today the job is different. So I wouldn't say we were better and they're not as good. But even today, I would strongly recommend that to be a full, well-rounded advertising person, you need to know different aspects of
That's what I was trying to get at, right? I mean, like, because I think that if somebody gets into a particular area, they stick in that area, right? Whereas if you jump around a little bit and know what's going on in like all of these different spaces, you understand the business itself at large.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a good client servicing guy should say after 2 or 3 years, boss, put me in some other department. Send me to media, or put me in account planning, or put me in something else. Let me get out and do something else. The problem is a lot of them get very comfortable in what they do. And the other bigger problem is their bosses become very possessive of them. Saying, no, I can't spare him. He's very important for this account, etc.
Right.
So it's a combined problem. The bosses have to say, look, this bird is ready to fly, and, let him fly. Let him go to some other department. I'm saying even working across accounts is a big learning,
Right.
Those days we used to work across many different types of accounts. Today, a lot of people just work on one account. So you work on, let's say, one big account, for 25 years, which is itself, I think, is a little too constraining.
I can see that. Okay, so we were going to discuss the launch of red and white cigarettes in Bombay.
Yeah, so red and white is manufactured by Philip Morris, Indian company of Philip Morris, which is called Godfrey Phillips.
Right.
And it's a pretty successful brand. Red and white filter cigarettes was pretty successful in Rajasthan, Haryana, parts of Delhi. And they wanted to storm the Mumbai market. Mumbai was a strong, complete stronghold of ITC.
Okay.
With its whole range of Wills filter and Gold Flake, etc. GPI, Godfrey Phillips, had one brand which was successful in Mumbai, which was Foursquare.
Okay.
But they felt Foursquare was premium. So they wanted to come out a slightly more popular priced brand to take on Gold Flake Kings. So we'd worked on the campaign and we were getting ready to launch. And as you know, that time, I think it was the early 80s, 81, I think, or 80 or 81. Cigarette marketing or cigarette distribution in Mumbai was pretty complex. There was what is called a retail union. All the what they call the Tambaku Dealers Association had a very strong union, which used to dictate terms to the manufacturers, right?
Interesting.
And so we were working on this campaign, and we had a fairly, those days, cigarette advertising was permitted in print, was permitted in cinema, was permitted in outdoor, was permitted in POP material outside shops. Only, I think, radio and television, cigarette advertising was not allowed in India. So we were doing a print campaign for red and white. And after much discussion, the campaign was finalized. And the CEO of the company, Kirit Vaidya, had a long discussion with him. And he told us that we should put the price of the cigarette in the ad. So we said a pack of 10s cost, whatever, 4 rupees 50 paise, something like that. So no one in the cigarette industry had done that. No one puts the price out there because the retailers, kind of sell it at a price which suits them.
Right.
So while the company gives them a 10% margin, they charge up another 10% because of various reasons. They say there's tobacco laws. We sell a lot of cigarettes on loose basis, and some cigarettes, tobacco falls off, and you have to take the loss. So we'll mark it up. So they used to mark it up. So the meeting went on, and then he said, "Look, let's not put the price." But Mr. Vaidya said, "No. I think we need to break this whole thing, and we need to put the price. So I'm telling you guys, put the price. We'll face the music." So we said, "Okay." So the ad was approved. We went back to office and started getting the artwork done. And I think the next day, the artwork got made. Those days, nowadays you send digital files. You can send it by email. But those days you had to get an artwork done. Artwork had to be made into a block. Block had to be made into a mat. And the mat is then sent to
the press.
Yeah, sent to Times of India or whichever other press. So we had sent all the material to the publication, and the space had been booked, and the next day the ad was supposed to come on page 3 or something like that. And I was in my office, and I get a call at 12 noon from Mr. Vaidya saying, "Look, Ambi, that ad, we need to remove the price." So I said, "Look, Mr. Vaidya, the material has already gone, right? And it's 12 or 1, and I don't know. How will I pull back the material, create new material, make sure I give it to Times of India?" Those days, Times of India had a cutoff of 5 p.m. If you don't give the material by 5 p.m., the ad is not going to appear.
Right.
and you want the ad to appear tomorrow. Can I postpone the ad? He said, no, you can't postpone the ad because, we're doing a sales conference and all that. So I said, look, I don't know whether I can do it. He said, no, please try. I'm coming. So I said, no, why are you coming? He said, no, I'm coming. And half an hour later, he was sitting in my office. The CEO of the company sitting with me saying, please get it done. So I said, Mr. Vaidya, you're embarrassing me. I'll try. I'll try, but you don't need to come. And come and sit with me. But he said, no, I'll sit with you if you have any issues. So in fact, he offered. He said, look, you want me to talk Times of India? You want me to talk to your, block maker? Anyone, I will talk. So I said, no, we'll manage. And finally, what happened, we did manage to get the price removed, showed him the artwork, got the price removed, and get the new material done, and sent it to the publication, and the ad appeared the next day. Right? Now, it kind of left a indelible mark in my head. Why did Mr. Vaidya come all the way to my office? As a CEO, he could have easily sent one of his minions down, right?
Yeah.
But I think somewhere he felt guilty that, he was making us work, twice over on the job.
Right.
After saying no to what we had recommended. Originally, we had recommended don't put the price. And he had fought and said, I want the price. So I think he was kind of showing his humility in a very touching way. He need not have come. But later we told him, you need not have come. He said, no, I'm putting you guys through all this trouble. The least I can do is be with you.
Yeah, no, I think it actually kind of parallels in some ways some of the other things we looked at from different successful leaders, right? Whether it's Ratan Tata during the launch of the Indigo
Marina,
Yes.
yeah. Or Mr. Adiaga, who said, I will write and give you the copy.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a great sign of leadership that, the whole concept called authentic happiness, book by Martin Seligman, who created the concept of positive psychology, that all of us have 24 different types of strengths, right? And he groups them into 6 buckets. There is wisdom and knowledge, there is courage, there is humanity, there is justice, there is temperance and transcendence. As a leader, you tend to feel that you only need wisdom and knowledge.
Right.
You only need courage. But great leaders also have a great sense of gratitude. They have a great sense of humility, right? Which all comes under temperance and transcendence and stuff like that.
Right.
So this left a very strong impression in me that, however high in the organization you go, you got to be ready to go and do the job at the front.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're doing a sales call, you're whatever product manager or sales manager, you're doing a sales call, you got to be ready to walk into the shop with your salesman and clean the bottles of shampoo or whatever.
Right.
You have to be ready to do that. So, as a big honcho in an ad agency, are you humble enough to go and actually sit with the DTP operator in the studio to say, look, I will sit with you. I will give you the approval sitting here. You don't need to take a printout and come to my cabin. I will sit with you. So people will say, look, boss, you go now. So no, I'll sit with you. It may be 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, doesn't matter. Or when you're editing a film, sometimes, filmmakers are friends. So they say, look, Ambi, I'm going to be doing a rough edit, but is it possible to come and sit for a few hours in the studio? Yeah, I'll come. So you're sitting there in the studio, doing the rough edit and then going forward, backward on it. Because you could have easily said, look, I can't come, tomorrow bring the tape to my office and show it to me. But you say, no, he's calling me. It's a show, sign of faith.
It is. So there's a tension over here, right? If you're the person who's at the top of things or who is supervising things, right? To what degree are you, at what point does it, how do you decide what is the line between providing support to the team and at the same time making the team feel like you're not sitting on their head? Right? This is
a tough question to ask, So what happens sometimes is that you have I've had very good colleagues who turn around and say, look, Ambi, you go home.
Yeah.
Right? I'm managing it. So it's okay. I'm going.
Yeah.
Right. But if the guy says, look, we are working on it, is it possible for you to stay? Yeah, of course I'll stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I've had colleagues who say, look, you've given us what you want done. We think we can do it. We will do it. You go home. No, we'll manage.
Right.
But sometimes they say, look, we are going to do the first edit. We're going to try the first music.
Can you take a look at it before?
Yeah, before we go in the wrong direction. Yeah, of course. I'll be more than happy.
I find that very valuable too, right? I mean, like if you're working on some sort of a creative project and at that point, if you go down the wrong path, then I mean, like every step you take further down that path takes forever to unravel, right? So then you either have to start from scratch or you have to kind of this. So it's better if there is the people who need to make decisions involved at some level.
Yeah, so it's a call which, so you always have a fear that am I imposing myself on the person, So you kind of give them the option, look, you're going to do the music. Would you like us to be there?
Right.
Some filmmakers say, yeah, would love to have you there. Some of them say, no, leave it to us. We'll come and present as a full-blown thing because we know what we're doing. So both works, So both have its strengths, both work. So, but the big thing is, I believe, and I think the lesson from this story is that, however, being demanding and being humble can actually go hand in hand.
It's tough.
Yeah, but this is example. Look at him. He got me to work around. I had to pull a lot of favors to get the stuff done, right? And he didn't shout. He was polite. He sat with me, and I was making calls. I was calling the block maker. The production manager was, I took literally fall at his feet, saying, "I'm sorry, Alfred D'Souza, rest in peace." Alfred, he said, Ambi, you can't do it. No, I can't do it. I said, no, Alfred, you have to do it, yeah. If you want, I'll go. I'll go to the printer. I'll go to this. So finally it happened, right? It happened without shouting. My client did not shout at me.
Right.
So it's a big lesson that you can actually be very demanding, but you can also be very humble.
Right.
And that's a unique combination. If you can do that, you can get people to fly, right? Whether it is whomever you work with. You in software, you may have worked with, programmers. In advertising, you work. In advertising, you control nothing, right? Films are made by the filmmaker. Photography is done by the photographer. Music is done by the music director. Sometimes illustrations are done by the special illustrator.
Right.
You control nothing. But actually you end up controlling everything if you are able to go down
and work with these people.
Yeah. Work in the trenches, as they say.
Yeah.
So, and they appreciate it. You go and sit in the studio, late into the night, the guys, the studio manager, the DTP guys all say, we'll do anything for this guy. So we're happy to work.
No, I think if you're going to, at the bare minimum, if you're going to demand that people do a lot of work for you, you need to show them that you're putting in the same effort.
Absolutely. You should be ready to work.
Yeah.
Right? And, you should be ready to put in the time, put in the hours, put in the effort so that, you're not dictating things to them. And that's very true today. I think it's true in every business, but especially in service industry, it's all the more true that the boss has to be ready to,
you got to be there with the
absolutely,
troops.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a lesson from our red, white and brown.
Interesting. Let's end this episode for right now. We'll be back next week with India's first CEO CN. This will be the 13th chapter in the Sponge podcast. Thank you, Ambi, very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you wish you were smarter? Well, so do we. But the next best thing?
We could make you sound smarter.
And to help you with this endeavor, we are Simplified, a podcast that attempts to break down the complex world around you with a little knowledge, a lot of poor jokes, and a ton of random trivia.
Episodes out every Monday.
On the IVM podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.
See ya!
How many times have you motivated yourself to improve your sleep, or lose weight, or be more productive? How many times have you failed? Hi, my name is Ashton Doctor. Tune into my show, The Habit Coach Podcast, where we focus on creating small, tiny habits to improve your life instead of those big, impossible tasks. So make listening to me a habit every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or on your favorite podcasting app.